Well, hello. This is Dee with Backpack Journeys. I thought I would finish up the last two hostels that I have visited, and this one will be about the HI hostel not San Diego, in Portland, Oregon, that I went to in the wintertime in December of 2019. Haven't really traveled since the pandemic started in early 2020. So I appreciate everybody hanging in there with me and visiting. I've got a new background here, which is nice. It's all tidied up, trying to do something a little bit different. Keep in mind that it's been a while since I've been to any of these hostels. So this is from my experience and what happened when I was there. And yes, it has changed. Yes, prices have gone up. But do check it out on Google. It's Hostels International, and look at their sites and see what they do offer now. But and I know a lot of people don't like hostels, but a lot of people do. So this is why I'm doing it. The one hostel I did in New York got a lot of views, and that's been my favorite hostel so far. So we're going to do today and finish it all up. And I do have a playlist, and it does show at the end of the video. I have a playlist of called hostels, videos I've taken while I was in a hostel, and these reviews of the hostel. So today we're going to be talking about the one in Portland, Oregon. And that one, given in mind that it was in December, it was cold, there was not a lot to do. So went through a blizzard or two on the train, took the Empire Builder train from Chicago to Portland, and I wanted to see some snow, didn't know I was going to get into a blizzard, and I ended up having an upper respiratory infection, so I stayed in bed most of the time that I was there in Portland. So I got to know the bedroom really well at the hostel. But Portland, that was the cheapest HI hostel. That was the cheapest one where I've stayed. That was only $30-some a night. Well worth $30-some. Not a whole lot to it. It's in the Alphabet section of Portland, which is an older section. And it is actually, I took the train. It is actually within walking distance of the train station. And if you're a walker, I wouldn't recommend it. I did walk back. There's plenty of cabs. There's a bus. There is a bus line, but I never figured the bus line out. It took a while to figure out the Alphabet section district. The Alphabet district is really simple. I was trying to make it more complicated than it is. It's just the streets go like A, B, C, D, E. You know, if you're on road, if you're on street D and you need to be on street H and the one next to you is B, then you know to turn right. It's simple once you figure that out. But yeah, I didn't. But a bus does go by there. Bus can't talk. A bus does go by train station too. I would suggest in that part of town, I would suggest taking a cab. I took a cab, and it's really not that far. It's just a few blocks through the downtown section. So the positives are it was $30-some a night. The rooms were very clean. It has it has two sections. They've added on to it. It has a new building. It has what I'll call an old building. You can see my pictures. I think I took several pictures of it when this was kind of before my really video days and more my picture days in Facebook with Backpack Journeys blog. I've got a lot of pictures, older pictures for my earlier travels. I stayed in the newer building. The older one was fine. I went over there. There was a kitchen over there, and I got to meet some residents, guests who were staying longer than I was. And but it was clean. I stayed again in a four-room women's dorm. It was full when I was there, and the people at the desk, the people who worked there were friendly, but they were not talkative friendly. They would just answer your question and they would be to the point, which I was a little disappointed, to be honest, because I had always heard the Pacific Northwest was very laid back vibe. Well, maybe that was laid back. They didn't talk a whole lot. The laid back, friendly vibe. I didn't really find that, but again, I was there in the wintertime. And it was like in the 60s. So it was in the wintertime and like in the 60s. So that is not winter to me. It felt really good. So I walked around a lot while I was there. So that's a good thing. They have a cafe inside of there for the general public, and where you can get sandwiches and soups and breakfast. I got breakfast there every day, and I tended to eat there, and that was good. The food was good. That was good. I have no complaints. They were civil. The workers there would accommodate you if you asked specific questions. Didn't have a towel. I had need the extra towels. I had to go and ask specifically. I mean, really specifically what I was getting and why to get it. Yeah, so you could eat there. The bad part is if you don't have your own transportation, there are not any really restaurants, cafes around. My last day there, I did find a convenience store about a block and a half up from there. That didn't look like a convenience store, so I overlooked it. It looked more like a little house or a little local shop, but it was a convenience type store, so didn't have a lot in it, but I picked up some food to carry back on the train. So there you have that. You can stay there. Not going to say a whole lot about it. Don't plan to go back to the Pacific Northwest. Like I said, I got an upper respiratory infection my last day there. I was able to walk. And I walked because it didn't look that far on the Google Maps, but I walked to a urgent care center. He was really nice. The doctor there was really nice. And so you're going in the wintertime, be prepared about that. If you're riding the train in the wintertime, be prepared. There's all kinds of things can happen. I rarely get sick, but I did get sick. So the cons to the place. It is in an older section. I do not know what the downtown, it's near the downtown. I do not know what the downtown area looks like now. Because, a few years ago, it burned. Rioters, looters burned it. This is just a little bit of my commentary. And I don't mean anything by it because I did enjoy the place. I think it's potentially, if I had, excuse me, if I had not been feeling bad and if it had been in better weather for me, like maybe the springtime when I normally travel, I could have seen the newer sections of Portland. I could see them on a hill. I could look up the hill and see the newer sections, seeing where they were developing. The time I was there, and maybe it was because the time I was there, there was starting to be tension in the area for the Californians moving in. There was this that was what I had heard, what I sat around and listened to people talk when I was in the cafe. And that's what I do when I travel, is I try to mesh in with the locals and find out what's going on, read the papers, that type of thing. And that was starting to happen, that the Californians were coming and driving the prices of everything up, and they were having all this new development and pricing people out of homes. I think now that's true all over the country, and most people can understand that. But that was something kind of new back then in 2019. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on nationwide. Excuse me again, don't know why about this horse in my throat, frog in my throat, all this. It feels like a horse. So yeah, so with that being said, I could see on the hill where they had a lot of new development. But with that being said, when I was there, where I'm going with this is that there were a whole lot of homeless people, homeless camps on the sidewalks. I didn't even see this in New York City. I've always heard about New York City, about the homeless and oh, it's dirty and all of this. I don't find that when I go to New York, and I go to different areas of New York. I've been to different areas of New York, been one end to the other of Manhattan, and other areas around, started to go to Brooklyn, but Manhattan particularly. And Portland, when I was there in December of 2019, I'm going to have to kind of frame it because I'm sure it was really lovely beforehand, and I'm sure maybe it's lovely now because they had to rebuild the city, the downtown area. There was trash all over the sidewalks. It just looked like a lot of places were abandoned when they weren't. There were actually stores there, but was not attractive looking. And there were homeless. I don't, for me, I don't really mind. Homeless have to have people, have to have a place to go. And so I don't mind really homeless camps myself, but they took up the whole sidewalk. They had big tents. The city didn't mind. So I guess maybe that was the laid back part to it. The city at that time did not mind, but it was hard to walk on the sidewalks in a lot of the sections. And between the hostel and the train station, it was full like that. So I'm glad I took a cab. I saw that when I first got there, and I thought, well, I'm not going to try to walk and wander around, try to find the hostel. I want to take a cab. But I did walk back. So yeah, that was just all over the place. So that part I did not like. I didn't think it was clean in that area where I was, the Alphabet District, the downtown. Did not think it was clean. Did not like to see so many tents covering so much of the sidewalk. So for pedestrians, it's hard to get by. I will say, and I'm going to put a link to the video, the interview I did. I'll put a link at the top up here, one place or the other, to this interview I did with a homeless fellow. It's the only place I have traveled in this country, in the United States. And I've been to Canada and Europe. I used to live in, one summer I lived in Germany. I've traveled Europe. I've traveled to Montreal a couple of times. But any of my travels, I have never felt uncomfortable. And I've been around the same types of people that I'm speaking of now, but it's the only place where I have been confronted. I was confronted at the train station. I was taking pictures of the train station. Train station is beautiful. I think I like architecture. And it's an old station, so it has a tower to it. So I wanted to go outside and take pictures, and I was taking pictures before my video days. I was taking pictures, and I could see, and I deliberately was not taking pictures of the homeless camps all along the sidewalks close to the property of the train station. Deliberately was not. I don't want to invade anybody's privacy, and the vibe there was, my intuition was telling me not to. They didn't like it. They were staring at me. So I walked around. As I was walking around the train station and I came back around, there was this tall guy. He was young. and he was homeless, and he almost had me pinned between the train station. I mean, like, he wasn't touching me. He was in between where I was and the train station. So I just said, like I said, my intuition kicked in, and I started talking to him, and I said, I'm a YouTuber. That's all I'm doing. I'm not taking pictures of you all. And would you like to be on YouTube? I'll interview you. What do you think? And I asked him what he thought about the Californians coming in, how he got homeless, how long he's been homeless and whatnot. And he just he calmed down, but he was, I guess, the lookout. He was the one keeping up with who's doing what. He came up, and it's the only place I've been confronted was in Portland. So I would say, if you're going to use the hostel there, be careful. And it's not too dangerous, but I wouldn't be walking around definitely at nighttime. And if it hadn't changed much, and it may have changed, let me know if you've been since 2019. Let me know if you live there. Let me know if you visit there often, near where I'm saying, because there's a whole lot of Portland that's in the newer sections where this is not going on. But near the downtown area, if you're familiar with Portland's Alphabet District, that area, let me know if it's changed. But I would definitely, I would stay there again. Only if I didn't have much money. I would try to save my money and not stay there, to be honest. But you can't beat it, $30-some a night. And it was clean, and they have a cafe there. But I would, and I did walk around while I was there. Stayed in bed 2 days. The last day I walked around. Was there for 3 days. And I would not suggest to try to walk around if they're still homeless in the streets and sidewalks like there was. And I do hope that they've rebuilt the city to a downtown area to it being pretty and at least clean. I mean, there was trash everywhere, old newspapers, whatnot, just in the street. So that's all I have to say about Portland. But this is about the hostel. The hostel itself was nice. Another thing about the hostel that the other hostels did not have is that a lady came in one night with baked goods, and there was a woman I met there, and she was from the UK, and she was older. I say older, like maybe 80s. I don't know how she was. She looked like she was in her 80s. She was from the UK, and she came to the States for a few months every year, and that's how she traveled and lived. She lived in hostels. You can only stay there a certain amount of days. So she would travel. It's not a bad way to live. She traveled and lived in resort towns. You'd go from Colorado, California to the Pacific Northwest, and she'd stay her time that she could stay. Then she'd move on. And she did that for months, and then she'd go back to the UK. Well, what she was telling me that happened, the woman dropped off a lot of pastries, and they were really good, and for free for us to have for free. And she said that was one of the grocery stores or bake shops, bakeries there. One of the local shops that would bring their day old bread for the guests there at the hostel, which I thought was really nice. And something that they have that I don't remember being in the other hostels, maybe it is and I missed it, but what they also have is they have a section in their kitchen at this hostel where if you want to just donate food, if you're traveling, you're not going to eat. Like I had some oatmeal packets. I always travel with extra food just in case I run into something place where I don't have access to food. So I had some oatmeal packets I left, and I picked up some food that I did want. So they have a section for that. You can get food free. That I thought was nice, that just to be sharing. So I guess that was the Pacific Northwest laid back sharing. And then the pastries that were there from the bake shop, either a bakery or a grocery store, Very nice. I can picture that part right now. I have a sweet tooth. Not all of it was sweet, but they had some some of it was just breads, but they had some pastries that were really, really good. And I have a sweet tooth. I can just picture that right now. So that part was nice. And all for like $30-some a night. You can't beat it. So that's all I have to say about that. If you like the video, like, share, subscribe. This is all I'm going to do about hostels because I haven't stayed in another one. If you've stayed in this one, let me know. If you have some more comments that are positive, they can be kind of negative, but I mean, not hateful. That just be objective about it. If you like the area or don't like the area, just let me know. Like I said, I have not been there since December of 2019, and I was sick when I was there, so it wasn't the best of anything. Best of times, the best situations. But just be careful of if the homeless are still living in the streets, because that's the only place in the world that I have traveled to date where I have actually been confronted by one. That's just saying. So anyway, everybody, stay safe. Happy travels, happy rails. Hope to talk to you later.